Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today I have a top 16 breakdown for the Play TCG Webcam Zenkai Cup that happened this past weekend. It was 65 players with 6 rounds of Swiss to this top 16 that we see here today. So first, real quick, thank you to Play TCG for the deck list, as well as for running and hosting the event, as well as if you guys appreciate this video, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. No joke, it took me like 4+ hours to input all of these decks into DBS Deck Planet. And trust me, some of these pictures were pretty bad, and I had to really squint and find out. So if you guys have any value from that, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. I really would appreciate it. So the only one that I squinted as hard as I could. I do not know the exact Z deck. I'm like 99% sure this is right, but yeah, it's very, very hard to tell. So anyways, going into the actual breakdown, we do have 3 Crimson Goku, which is not a surprise at this point in the meta, with one of them winning. 3 Beerus Reboot, 3 Future Trunks, which is a new development, I guess. Not as many of these Future Trunks have been doing well, so that's very nice there. We got 1 Blue Boujack, 1 Reboot Masked Saiyan, 1 Gamma, 1 Yellow Baby, 1 Blue Dende Wish, 1 AOD Babidi, and 1 Aandroidd 16. So really, honestly, like, we do have like our blue like corner here, and it's kind of spread out a little bit as well. But what half of the list I'd say is just blue being very good in this top 16. But we have just a smattering of just random decks that are doing well right now. That's kind of been like the thing for Dragon Ball Super in the last, I'd say like 6+ months, where this game is so old. There's so many leaders that are getting support all the time now. There's just so many little promo supports, expansion sets, everything else, that every leader kind of gets some new support every once in a while, and just a weird arrangement of leaders. I don't know. Like, these are half these leaders I wouldn't even consider like meta right now, and they're getting this top 16. So obviously, that could be something on me not respecting that, but just a lot of interesting decks. And I'm really excited to go over all of them. So we're going to go with every top placing list for the top 3, and then every other list going from there. So starting off with Robert Rietze's Crimson Goku. Starting off, we have Robert Rietze's first place Crimson Warrior, and I feel like I've said that like 5 times in the last 2 months. He has been doing super duper well with Crimson Warrior in these last couple events. He's won the Zenkai Cup previously that PPG did. He won this one. He won Oceania Nationals. Like, he's doing very, very well with this deck here. So not a lot of changes that I've seen with this. I think the newest tech for Crimson Goku right now is Desperate Measures, which is a great card against floodgates, such as the effect of like the 1-drop Aandroidd 17 negate that he is not running, but a lot of other blue decks are running. Just in general, just a lot of negates. Unfortunately, like, this doesn't it puts it back in hand. So if your opponent leaves enough energy open to play the card a second time, you're out of luck, but it's still a good card in that sense. It then also lets you choose up to one of your own blue battle cards and bounce it back to your hand, which can sometimes be good too. But when you're not able to run Trunks anymore, this is still a good, like, it's the name is right, because you are desperate for a way for a counterplay, and this is pretty much the best blue has in a lot of ways. So there we go on that one. Other than that, I'd say it's pretty standard to not only what he's been running, but a lot of the Crimson decks are running. Just a lot of Saiyans that have a lot of, generically good effects, being able to use the effect. And I think in general that this Beast Gohan is like the best secret rare for the deck as well. I think a lot of people have kind of ended on that, and it's been doing super well. Just the fact of all the restanding and everything else it gets, it's a very strong deck, or secret rare for a very strong deck. So Z deck, pretty much blue, also has it has answers to a lot of things in their Z deck. A lot of other colors would be very jealous of the Z deck that it has, so we have that there, and that's about it. But just big congrats to Robert for winning there. And next up, we have the second place Beerus Reboot. This is Giovanni's list here. And I think Beerus Reboot has also just been on the climb. A lot of good cards that I think I'm still surprised that we still have Boo Unison in this game. I'm still surprised this is at 4 and still usable. And SS4 Vegeta as well. This card, I think, with God Sealing Gone, is just so good. You're just rarely afraid of anything with this, and just can help you ramp and win the game in so many spots. So in general, this deck is great. It's consistent. Being able to use the Whis from on high to get some ramping is great. Whis Destruction's Aid as well. And it's just like a really obnoxious, like, sticky deck where You're just very defensive. Blue has a lot of great defensive tools right now. You're able to ramp up very quickly, and then after that, you're able to use a win. You can even just use, like, I've played this deck before, and the 16 energy win condition is not too terrible, especially if you're able to go like double SS4s a lot of turns, and it's very, very strong for this deck. So I don't think there's anything too much else to say. This one's a little bit more aggressive build too, running the SSB Kaioken Goku instead of the Hatch, which is fine. This does let you do a lot of sneaky plays as well if needed, and it can also just be your great game ender, especially since you're using Whis, Judge of the Gods, as your win condition. So that means you can do something like you can ramp up to like a lot with this SS4 Vegeta, and then you get to Kaioken to get the 2 open, and then you get to Whis, and then you can take another turn, which is this quad strike, and then also this triple attacker and just everything else. It's just very, very strong. I can win you the game on the spot there too. So anyways, just congrats to Giovanni on their finish. Again, pretty standard blue. I think that Cell, Beerus, and Vegito are just standardly good cards in blue, and a lot of them are going to be running it. So anyways, next up we have our third place, and this is a Boujack list. This is the first Boujack list I've ever seen top an event with the release of the Zenkai stuff. So a lot going on here. I will still say that I love Boujack. I play Boujack a lot. It's very near and dear to me, and it's still probably not as good as Beerus Reboot. Probably not consistent. It might be better. It might have more of a reach sometimes, but I still think by and large you do have to jump through a lot of hoops for something that I feel like Beerus Reboot does more consistently, and that just kind of stinks to see. But I do like this deck a lot, and I do think it has a lot of good stuff for it. And if this is something that instead of, it could just be better than Beerus Reboot, or at least on par, and it's just that the playstyle is still needing tinkering, or at least the ratios. You did get a bunch of new support cards, so you do have to figure those out, specifically with the Boujack Space Pirate Captain, with the Goku Cunning Slayer, and as well as the Zangia Beautiful Sight. This is such a good card. Like, this is great for what it is. You get to ramp one essentially from your hand into your energy and rest mode. So it's not from the top of your deck, but of course your energy is kind of like a second hand in this deck. So putting it in your energy is not a big deal. Also, you can KO this card to give something when you play blue Boujack card, you're able to give it barrier, which something like your 8-drop desperately wants. So that can help you there. So all of these are good. I do like the SS4, and that's not necessarily the ramp, but this just says I get to draw 4 cards, and this deck loves to not have cards in hand. So that's strong. Galactic Buster still is a great card for this deck, and the fact that it's able to use it and be the only like blue leader to use it is strong there as well. But I don't know, this deck is still great. I like it. It's just you're very kind of RNG based on putting cards into your energy off the top of your deck. It's not like Gamma where there's a lot of ways to fix it naturally. You have to go out of your way to do that. I do think Aandroidd 17 is a great way to start your defense stuff, and the deck is still good. I'm not saying it's not good, but I feel like it's just why would you play this over Beerus Reboot a lot of the time? It just feels like it's a lot trickier for the same payoff. But I do love the deck, and I'm happy to see the topping. So congrats to Biriarr for their finish there. Next up, we do have our 4th place Reboot Mass Saiyan. And when I was making a tier list video earlier this month, I think it maybe end of January. I don't know. Time's a construct, man. And this deck was not on my radar. I said that black is usually just right now. It's just still like what Vegex might be possible. Supreme Kai of Time obviously got a lot of stuff, but man, we haven't seen Master Saiyan Reboot top in a long time. But this is a best of 1 format. This no side, no pre-side, which we haven't honestly had this format in a long time. And this is definitely a format that tends to give more success to aggressive decks because a lot of people don't tech as greedy on the defense side, and something like this could just show up, explode, go X1 throughout the day and do very well. So that's my understanding of what happened with this list. And I'm not trying to say like this list is bad, but this is definitely a list that hasn't been, or at least a leader that hasn't been relevant in a minute, but it has gone a lot of kind of sneaky support. And the sense of the 7-drop Mass Saiyan Belligerent Warrior, this card is dumb. This is a really dumb card. So if your leader is black and you send a card from your drop to your warp this turn, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 6, so it becomes a 1-drop 20k. And when this card is played, choose with 2 of your opponent's battle cards summon owner's warp. This gains critical for the turn. At the end of your opponent's next turn, negate the skill of all cards into the warp and replace them back. So It's just really good for what it is. There's a lot of cards without protection that still get played around, and this also just like kills Z battle cards. They just don't come back. They just leave the battle area. They go into the remove from game, and they're gone. Obviously, there's not a lot of cards like. That's not a lot of cards, but it's nice. It's a free good removal for that. And then you're just a 20k crit for 1, which is also strong in that way. So you have to warp something that's very easy. You have so many cards. You have a lot of crit pressure. And in a metagame that there's a lot of blue that usually kind of struggles with some hand destruction, proactive hand destruction, with as much crit stuff that is in this deck with the leader, with the revived Ravager Vegeta. You're running a bunch of double strike as well with the Hidden East Supreme Kai and the Champas. And this deck can just be pretty nasty when you're not expecting it. So obviously, I think people won't disagree. Like Black has like the weakest Z deck and Z battle cards generically. So there's only 5 in this deck. So I don't blame it for not like having it outdone. But like this is just like a crit card. That's it. This is all this card is. It can get a lot of power end game, which is nice, but that's all it. Obviously, Majin Buu has been seeing some success just as like a generic card in a lot of things, and the Vegeta, which has always been. But I don't know. I think this deck is interesting. I'm going to be interested to see if it plays more. Obviously, I think the Supreme Kai of Time has been the kind of what is on people's radar for like the next kind of good aggro like Black deck, but it's cool to see that SS3 got some wins this weekend too. So congrats to let's see, this was Chris. Congrats to Chris on their finish there. And next up we have 5th place. This is Raymond's Gamma list. Gamma's been strong, I think. Again, I said this like a couple days ago. Like it's good. It's a solid deck. If you want a solid deck, honestly, like even like a solid deck to kind of learn the game, even though like the energy mechanic is a little bit weird, it's a very solid deck to just learn card advantage, resource management, everything else. Especially since you get 3 energy back, like you can be really greedy with your plays and not get super punished, and it's just a good deck for that. So. The running a little risky with some black cards. Mechie being added to this is pretty interesting there. I think, did Rietze's list run some Mechies too? I'm fairly certain. Yeah, he ran 2 Mechies, which I think was newer for him. Anyways, it's just interesting to see that as a pick. Gamma as well. Is there any of the Aandroidd 17 Defending Friends is an Aandroidd, just generically gets benefits for being in this deck. Very strong, and I don't have a lot more to say. These decks are pretty standard in a lot of ways. You're playing a Jiren for unison removal because you are running enough green to warrant it. This deck is also moderately good at making Z energy, especially with the effect of your unison right here. So I don't have a lot to say. I think it's a strong deck. It's going to be a strong deck for a while still, and I don't know what to say. So just big congrats to Raymond on their finish there. Next up, we have our 6th place. This is Julio Casablanca's Future Trunks and Vegeta. And we had a lot. We had 3 Future Trunks and Vegetas in this top here, and very, very interesting to see it just I don't know. It hasn't been doing anything for a long time, and I'm not sure if people just lost faith in it. It did get some new cards in the promo dash pack, but this deck is running none of it besides the new Z leader, which is honestly just interesting. I don't think it's like it's really weird. It's really weird. It's not like better in a lot of ways. It's just like an alternative leader in this deck, which is just. It's interesting, all right? You don't get like the extra draw 1 on the EX evolve, but you do become critical, which means like it is like an inherent +1, because if your opponent takes the damage, they discard a card or they want a combo out or something. So pretty much the same thing. It gets +5k power as well. So 20k crit every turn can put some pressure on your opponent, and that's kind of the idea. Also, once per turn, you get to restand the big 8 drop if you need to. So if that card sticks, which it has no protection, so who knows if that's going to be the case. But if it does, you do get some stuff. And you also probably better use your leader effect on the double strike, because this does literally nothing for the it does nothing with the card underneath it. So you do have to be careful with that. But otherwise, I don't know. It's interesting. We haven't seen this deck again do as well. It did get like top 4 at North American Nats and some Nats finals finishes, but nothing, not anything prevalent. More like just a couple rogue finishes here and there. So Interesting to see that this was the choice for a lot of players with success this weekend too. So this is, let's see, this is Julio's list. I also just want to highlight Grady's build as well. This is 9th place, and they are running a lot of the new Dash Pack cards. So inherently, it's this 1-drop Son Goku and Vegeta, which lets you draw 1, has barrier if you are strictly this leader, and then if you active main Lund, if your leader is your guy, discard from your hand, choose 20 opponent's battle cards in unison with energy cost 2 or less, and you get to switch it to rest mode, which is really strong. And then you also just have, like, this can count as Vegeta, which means you can go into this on top of it, because it just needs the name, and it doesn't care if it's a double name. That's kind of how that works. So you're not running as many as these guys. This can also, it only finds specifically this guy off this, so you do have to be careful there. But you also do have the new Vegito Fight for the Future, and this is an EX Evolve specifically on top of this. It's like a cheater EX Evolve. You know, this is technically like a Union, but whatever. For one, it's double strike 25k when this played with EX Evolve switch to active mode, which is how this deck works. And when this card attacks, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards in unison, and it can be switched to active mode until the end of your opponent's next charge phase. So it's kind of like a better version, like it's an alternative version of Vegeta. This gets to pop stuff, ignoring barrier that's in rest mode, so that's strong. But the fact that this is a 25k and it's double strike, it just, for one, it just adds more pressure to you. You get the EX Evolve stuff, and it's a cool alternative line for it. It's just weird. It's like a weird add to this in general, but I digress on that one. Just very, very weird. So everything else, we're also playing the Frieza just for a 1/1 that has 15k, I suppose. No other benefits there, and I do like the Meta Cooler. I think this needs to be played more in yellow, especially a deck like this that does have a Z leader or isn't unaware like to play Z battle cards. It doesn't have to be a yellow Z battle card too, so you can just play it off SSB Vegeta, have it out there. Your opponents, unless like some games you just have it sitting there the entire time because your opponent doesn't want to get rid of it, and then you can still use this because it just needs a mono yellow leader, and if you have a Z leader or Z battle card in play, you get to do it for free, which again you do go into Z battle leader anyway, so that's fine for you. That's it. That's all for this one. So congrats on Grady for that finish there. Next up, we have Akrem's Yellow Baby, and this is a pretty old leader. It was pretty meta relevant when it first came out too. It used like a weird line with this card here, being able to go up into like a big 7 drive. Like it was like a big like turn 2 kill kind of deck, which is been out of favor for a long time now, but there has been just a lot of tiny little support printed for this in the last year or two that's kind of been accumulating, and I think right now it could be more relevant if people look into it a little bit more, but it's really hard to say. It's a really kind of weird like glass cannon deck. Is very aggressive, and so the fact that it has dual attack, being able to, it doesn't draw, but you take a card from your life to be able to swing with it twice every turn, and then when your life's at 2 or less, you may draw 2 cards and then switch to energy action mode and flip this over. So essentially you get to take like another turn when you awaken on turn 3 by draw 2, untapping 2, and this has dual attack, which means that you can attack, use the activate main to take a card, switch to active mode, and then dual attack on top of that, and then it's a once per turn, but when this card attacks, you get to draw 1. So just very, very aggressively taking your life in a lot of ways. Being able to swing twice with a leader is pretty strong in a lot of ways, and you get a lot of free +1s, and some of the new cards we get, this one's pretty old, but the fact that you do get to play this for free, it's a 16k swing, and you do get to, whenever you play a red, yellow baby card, you get to play it from hand for free and look for offering cards, which I don't think there's any offering cards except for this one, but if you need to find it, you can. This you get to EX Evolve on a yellow baby as well. It has to be cost of 3, which means either this guy, is it only 3? Only 3, yeah. So pretty much this guy, but you get to do some fun stuff too, because there is the combo attack Janemba, which you get to burst 2 and then take up to 2 cards from your life to bounce an evil incarnate back to your hand. So this is just like a free 15k swing. A lot of the time you don't have to take the life. Now you can combo and arrive into this guy if you want to for 1 yellow, which does open up some plays to go into the 5-drop, and then you can for 1 red go into a baby with energy cost of 6 from your hand, which means you get to go into this guy. There's just like a lot of cute little combos. I'm not going to be able to know all of them, unfortunately, but I'm going to try my best at a lot of other ones. Like this one, and your opponent's taken 2 more life, you get to play this card for free, which means you get to go to this guy for free off that, which is cool. We have the new 1-drop as well. Unibzorb with a Janemba from your hand, which doesn't mean to be just like only Janemba. Like this card, it can be any of the like baby Janembas because you just need the card name in it. You get to choose up to 1 multicolor baby Janemba card from your deck and play it on top of this and shuffle it. So, sorry, this card has offering too. I should have said that a while ago, but you can get this guy out for free, which is an offering blocker. That's also a 3 cost, which means you can EX evolve into here, which also has offering, which also choose all your opponent's battle cards in duration. Their skill is negated, and this gets dual attack. Like a lot of pressure in a lot of ways. And then it's also the new Z battle card. I'm saying new very liberally. I haven't really seen a deck with these place before. So anyways, unique barrier, place 1 card from your hand at the bottom of your deck. When this card is played, play up to 1 Dr. Mew Mastermind from your deck, from your hand, and shuffle it. And then also activate main limit 1 if your leader is a yellow baby card, play up to 1 Super Baby 2 from your hand on top of this card, which is, I don't think it's in this deck. Oh wait, Revenge. Yeah. Sorry, you get to play this guy. So it's just when you get to play this. So it's just like another way to go into it in a lot of ways. And just the fact that you are able to use this effect to put Dr. Mew into your deck. And the really like original way why this deck was broken is because of these 2 cards. So Dr. Mew the Mastermind, if your lead card's yellow baby, when this play this card, you get to choose a 20 yellow baby with energy cost of 1 in your deck, play it, then shuffle your deck. You can't play this for the turn, and only 1 can be played in your battle area. And if you have it has unique before unique came out. If you have a red yellow multicolor card in your end, you get to play this card for free. And then the baby says if your lead card is a yellow, when you play this card, draw 3 and choose 2 cards in your hand, place them in your drop. So it's just like a +2, right? For free, you get to play it down. Then you get to play this card for free. Sorry, not that card. This card. And then you get to draw 3, discard 2. So for 1, you played 1 card, so that's +1. And then you get to draw 3, discard 2, which is another +1. And it's very good. It's a very, very good card. It's why this deck was really viable, because it saw a lot of its deck got very consistent very quickly. You fill up your drop areas, you can get like a free overwhelm with this, which is great. And it's just great. It's just really, really great for what it is. So the fact that, and the idea, I'm pretty sure is like, oh, they have a red out, they have a yellow out, which means that you can attack, you can combo with both of these, and then bam, you have red, yellow, you can do a rival. But it's just good cycle. It's just what it is. So I don't have much more to say. The new Beerus, and I'm again saying Beerus new very liberally, but if you have a red yellow multicolor in your energy, you get to reduce the energy cost of this in your hand by 1. And then with the attacks, you choose 20 of your opponent's battle cards, energy cost 4 or less. In rest mode, it can't be switched to active mode. So it's just like, it has offering too. Man, there's a lot more things for offering than I remember from this deck. So I don't know. I'm probably just doing a really poor job explaining this deck, but there is a lot of synergy. There's a lot of combos. Maybe you need to check it out. It's usually a bit too aggressive for what I usually do, but I like all the synergy that's there, and definitely would catch an opponent off guard. There'll be like, what leaders that playing the current set, or I can't remember what it does, and what it does, it wins very quickly and has a lot of spammy kind of potential. So anyways, congrats to Akrem for their finish there. We've got 3 more lists. We've got Alexander's 10th place Blue Dende Wish, a favorite of mine, especially since seeing it perform on stream at Nats as well. Really kooky little deck, just a lot of just older cards conveniently working together, especially a Wish deck. We haven't seen a lot of Wish decks be very relevant. The closest is Red Sin, which is apparently not played anymore, but anyways. The idea how this deck works, if you guys aren't aware, is one, it's, if you don't know how Wish decks works either, you got to get these 7 Dragon Balls into your drop. That's how you awaken. If you don't do that, sometimes you just get stuck and not be able to awaken. But then you get to Wish by having 7. You get to choose 1 desire from your drop area, add to your hand, and flip it over. And then you have this 15k leader. You can do some pretty cheeky things. First, assembling the squad to play these Majin Defiers, West Supreme Kais. These essentially pay energy cost in your battle area. So it's like a really, really old and inconsistent way to ramp. And then if you do that, you're able to use the effect to go up to your SS4 a little bit sooner. So you can use this to use this to ramp even more. So even if you have 4 energy and you have 2 of these out, you can use both those and this to go play this, get 4 energy for realsies, and then you could do some extra stuff, which including like you can use the effect here to draw 2 cards, choose up to 2 of your blue energy, switch into active mode. So and then you have to flip this leader over at the end of the turn, but you can then go into your Z leader here. If you have 3 or less life instead of more energy. So if your opponent really hits you down, which isn't too terribly rare for them to do, you can do the combo where if you have like 4 energy and like 2 of these out, you can use the Vegeta, play it for 6, use the effect to play a couple more energy. And even if you're at like you had to play 2 to get this out, so you could use this to untap 2, then play the Vegeta, get 4 more energy, or at least get up to 7 energy. So you're able to Z Awaken into this card, and then after that, you don't unawaken, you don't unwish, you don't whatever. So you just become this leader conveniently for the rest of the game. So which is a 20k base leader, has crit, double strike, and it can also negate an attack once per turn. So all of that seems great, and then the rest is pretty much just blockers, supports, ways to just defend your life to get there, and then you kind of go off. So the only other thing is that I would kind of like this is a super good leader for this too, especially because it can restand your leader, which is a Z leader, and it's not a once per turn when this attacks, so you can double up on that. You get double attack, and you get the plus 1k twice for every energy and Z energy, so you can get a really big body and really punish your opponent. So anyways, I like this deck. I really do. I think it's really neat and a lot of cool interactions. And I like wish decks because they're usually pretty bad and not relevant. But just a big congrats to Alexander on their finish there. Next up, we have a AOD Babidi, which we haven't seen in a while here. It does have a lot of new support, and this is the first deck that I've seen it do anything since the new support. So obviously we got the new 1-drop, which does help us awaken a little bit earlier, and it also awakens without being at a lower life total, which can be nice. We have the new 8-drop Omega Shenron, which this is pretty stupid. Being able to play this for 1, it's like this active main is simply just says play it for 1. Like it's a very easy condition as long as you're playing into the deck, and then also you get to either just choose something with barrier and KO it for 1, which is any deck would love to do, or you get to just draw 1 and then it's a triple strike when you have 3 more energy, which is usually when you start playing it anyway, so it's just fine for what it is. So very good card, as well as the I guess you're not playing the new, yeah you are, the new Janemba as well. When this is played, you get to draw 1. If you 3 or more, add 1 Agent Destruction to your card from your hand, so it's just active mode. So you can use this to bounce this back, and then you can play it again later, or just other effects. For example, you can bounce back like your Janemba Agent Destruction, which means that you can play it for 1 again, and then you get to make them discard a card. Like all these, like it's a neat little weird effect, but just the fact that you're also able to use like the effects for this for like the Lord Slug interaction, where you'd be able to, this lets you play for 1 green something with 3 or less with Lord Slug. Slug Army, and play it, so you get to play this for free, for 1, which is nice. Angela is also great. You charge yellow. Your super combos are Slug Armies. This is Slug Army. This is Slug Army. So a lot of things you can find there too. And I don't know. I do like the rainbow decks. I like how you could get to be creative with what you get to do with it, and I don't know, it's fun. It's a fun deck. I'm happy to see it get a top in something. And I don't know, I don't necessarily think that agents are very strong. I think there's a lot of ways to interact with them, but in a best of 1 term like this, I could see it signed. So there is Devin's top 16 finish there. And finally, it is our Kevin Martinez 14th place Aandroidd at 16. This is probably like one of the few Aandroidd 16 deck profiles I'm going over that isn't from Jared Lopez. So in that vein, and I literally just played him today on my stream, so I'm a little bit more familiar with Aandroidd 16 currently than I normally am. And one thing that I know when he plays this deck, he just like, I have to play blue and green. I can't play like there's just so many times like you sometimes play like a black battle card into your energy with the effect of your leader that just really warps the game, especially because I think there are some cards in this deck that need you to have mono blue. Maybe I'm thinking about it wrong, but it's very terrible to hit these a lot of the time. But 2's fine-ish. I know it's tempting. I know it's really tempting to play non-blue green cards, but we have that there. We also have the Fusamasu, I really like this card, and I think it needs to be more than one, honestly. I think like 2, you can do some really good hand destruction. And when there's so much blue going on, like blue has like no way to get rid of this, strictly. There's no way to get rid of this card. If you get this out early against blue, they I feel like I lose the game as blue when my opponent hits me with this card. It's just super bad to get out of. The fact that red isn't as popular as it used to be before the ban list means like it's very, very hard to get rid of this card in a lot of ways. And man, it just pokes every turn. It just does consistent pokes and the consistent discard. You already have discard as well with like this. You get to make your opponent discard a card. You have the Kusu, one of that also has discards. And the fact that this is truly a pivot between blue and green decks is really nice for the effects of being able to do some hand destruction with her opponent and just interact with them. It's still, but still get all the benefits of blue, which means like dimension magics and a lot of energy to do your plays. It's a very strong deck that we've still seeing, and I think it's going to be seeing a lot of play in the future too. So you also get to do like blue and green. I think have a lot of great Z battle cards. Jiren has just the fact that it has unison removal is great. The fact that Frieza also has like some double strike pressure and just everything else. It's a strong deck. I think Android 16 is probably going to keep popping up for the next couple weeks, and unless something changes with the deck, I think it's still here. So anyways, that is my top 16 breakdown for you guys today. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I really would appreciate it, and that's going to be it for me. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.
Damn it. Damn it.